Hello, children. In the previous part, that is part 2, we saw how Aunt failed to satisfy the children with a story that was narrated by her, and children came out with direct reaction of saying that it was stupidest story. Then even Cyril said that it was so stupid story. Let us see what was the reaction of the small girl. Then what role did Bachelor play in over there in that compartment? The smaller girl made no actual comment on the story, but she had long ago recommenced a murmured repetition of her favorite line. What was her favorite line? Her favorite line was on the road to Mendeley. You don't seem to be a success as a storyteller, said the bachelor suddenly from his corner. Now, this bachelor, who was an unknown person, but as he was present in the compartment and heard the story, he commented this to the aunt. Then the aunt bristled. What she said? She The aunt bristled means she got very angry in instant defense at this unexpected attack. Now, over here, this bachelor, he was sitting in his place and listening to all the conversation and story, whatever things were happening in that group. Then, immediately, it was an unexpected attack from the bachelor towards the aunt. So she got very angry, and immediately she said that that was a very difficult thing to tell the stories that children could both understand and appreciate. She said in a firm voice. Then the bachelor said to the aunt that he didn't agree with her. Perhaps you would like to tell them a story, was the aunt's retort. Aunt immediately she said to the bachelor that would he like to tell the story to these children, to those children over there, those who were sitting in the compartment. Then amongst these children, the bigger of the smaller girls, she demanded the bachelor to tell them a story. The bachelor started narrating his story. He began like, once upon a time began the bachelor. There was a little girl called Bertha who was extraordinarily good. Who was extraordinarily good means she had all kind of good qualities in her. The children's momentarily aroused interest began at once to flicker. All stories seemed dreadfully alike, no matter who told them. Now, these children, those who were listening, they immediately gave their reaction that almost all stories are alike, they are not at all different. Now, this bachelor, he then began. She did all that she was told. She was always truthful. She kept her clothes clean, ate milk puddings as though they were jam tarts, learnt her lessons perfectly, and was polite to her manners. Means the girl, she had all kind of good qualities in her: truthful, obedient, she was personified. She was a perfectionist. She didn't create any fuss while eating anything that was placed in front of her. Immediately, the bigger of the smaller girl, she posed a question. Was the girl pretty? Then the bachelor he responded by saying that she was not as pretty as the bigger of the smaller girls, but she was horribly good. Now, over here, horribly good. These words, just imagine how can a person be horribly good? Either the person can be good or the person can be horrible. Horribly good. There was a wave of reaction in favor of the story. So all of them, they grabbed, the bachelor tried to grab the attention, and all of them, the interest got aroused among the children. The word horrible in connection with goodness was a novelty that commended itself. It seems it seemed to introduce a ring of truth that was absent from the aunt's tales of infant life. Children, whenever the stories are told, the stories they have their own morals, they have their messages, but if a story gets connected with the real life situations, it becomes interesting. Now, let us see in part 2 what happened with the girl Bertha, the main character of the story that Bachelor narrated. She was so good, continued the bachelor, that she won several medals for goodness, which she always wore pinned on to her dress. There was a medal for obedience, another medal for punctuality, and a third for good behavior. They were large medals and they clicked against one another as she walked. No other child in the town where she lived had as many as 3 medals. So everybody knew that she must be an extra good child. Horribly good, immediately Cyril he quoted. Children, when we talk about good behavior, when we talk about punctuality, is it happens so that you won so many medals and every day you put on your medals if you have won for sports or some other activities, and you roam about every day? That doesn't happen. But the girl, she used to do it. Everybody talked about her goodness, and the prince of the country got to hear about it, and he said that as she was so very good, she might be allowed once a week to walk in his park, which was just outside the town. It was a beautiful park and no children were ever allowed in it. So it was a great honor for Bertha to be allowed to go there. Just imagine she was the only girl in their town who was allowed to go and visit the park that was made for the prince of the country. So it was an honor for Bertha. Where were there any sheep in the park? Demanded Cyril. Now Cyril he posed this question. Were there any sheep in the park? The bachelor replied by saying that there were no sheep in the park, but there were other small harmless animals in the park. The storyteller paused to let a full idea of the park's treasures sink into the children's imaginations. Then he resumed. Children, when somebody narrates a story, it happens so that the picture, the image, it gets created in our mind and we try to visualize it through our mind. So, this is what he tried to do. He tried to create such kind of image in the mind of those children. Bertha was rather sorry to find that there were no flowers in the park. She learned that there were no flowers in the park. She had promised her aunts with tears in her eyes that she would not pick any of the kind princess flowers, and she had meant to keep her promise. So, of course, it made her feel silly to find that there were no flowers to pick. Just imagine a garden without flowers. So for Bertha, she couldn't imagine the garden without flowers because without even having noticed or without having heard before, she had promised her aunt that she would not pluck a single flower. But all her promise it went in vain. The children they immediately placed a question in front of the bachelor, that is, why weren't there any flowers? The bachelor then replied that the animals they had eaten all the flowers, and he was very firm in answering their questions. The gardeners had told the prince that you couldn't have animals and flowers. So he decided to have animals and no flowers. So over here there was a option, either they could keep the flowers or they could keep the animals. That's why they had decided that they would be keeping the animals in the garden and not the flowering plants. Then there was a murmur of approval at the excellence of the prince's decision. So many people would have decided the other way round, but over here it was totally different. Murmur means they started speaking softly and accepting the story that was uh, being narrated by the bachelor. In the next part, that is part 4, let us see what happens when Bertha she pays her visit and she visits this park and what happens then. Thank you.